Hey again everybody, Cidious StarCraft here one more time for a StarCraft 2 commentary. Playing on the map Shattered Temple this time, and I'm going up against a Zerg player, Protoss versus Zerg. Over here on the left side is yours truly, Cidious playing as the red Protoss. And I keep meaning to switch this color. I want to switch it to something other than just red or blue, just because they get a little redundant, I suppose. My opponent, the Zerg player over here, SCC, in the about 2 o'clock position. And on this particular map, you can usually see a lot of macro games. In a sense, kind of favors Zerg if you're able to keep up your expansions, expand where the opponent can't find them, and be able to protect them in that regard. APM currently at the immediate moment spiking up to 300 something, but average 155 to 80 for our Zerg player. I've been working, trying to work on getting my APM up, which for those that don't know, APM stands for actions per minute. Ability to multitask, ability to, click on different units and have them do, constantly be doing things. As you can see though, I am of course walling off. Always a good idea to do so against the Zerg, especially if they have get into a lot of Zerglings. It does appear that SCC is doing a slightly early pull. He's dropping his pull at 12 supply instead of the standard 14 supply that a lot of other Zerg players do. And I end up coming up here, of course, to scout and find out exactly where he's at. His little overlords are going all over the map trying to find out, get a little vision, put him in position for the mid to late game, so he's got some, vision of possible places he can expand to. Income showing I'm at 14 harvesters to 13. Went around, of course, did my little scouting, saw the timing of the spawning pool. Didn't see it was super early like a 6, 7, or 8 pool, but did see that it was slightly earlier than normal. And then, of course, I sent my little probe down here, do a little patrol in action, make me a nice little pattern there. Possibly to block an expansion that he might have, go down here. He's actually doing a good job, though. He knew I had a probe somewhere in the base. So he sent one of these drones, and what he's doing is he's actually looking all around the perimeter of his map, his base, I should say, to see if I did any type of proxy gateway, or I warped in a pylon, maybe doing a cannon rush, anything like that. I do send my probe in one more time to come in here and possibly do one more bit of scouting. I was actually queued up on here so I could try to possibly stop them from mining for just a moment. And actually sending my probe in here, I do see, of course, the timing of the roach swarm. I do see that there's only the 2 Zerglings out at the immediate moment, and he's going right into roaches. At least that's what I thought, but he did a wise job. He made me think he was going roach play, and then he decided to cancel it. So in the back of my mind at the immediate moment, I think he's got roaches. I'm not sure what he's going into, but it appears instead of getting an expansion here, he is opting to upgrade his hatchery into a lair. So possibly see infestors, maybe even some hydras. Hydras are great against Protoss gateway units. And as you can see at the immediate moment, all I do have are gateway units, as you can see. And I'm building 2 more gates for a total of 3. And back in his mind, he's probably like, great, awesome. He's got gateway units. I know what he's got. He might think I'm doing roaches, so I've tricked him into thinking roaches. This is him thinking, probably. And so I'm going to do something different that counters what he thought he was going to counter my units with. So back in his mind, he's doing that, which is, very good. You always want to, if you can, trick your opponent into thinking something completely different. As you've seen from a lot of my Protoss versus Terran matches, where I would only get a few Colossus out and then switch over to High Templars to take out the Marine Marauder Ball, because, they end up going too heavy on the Vikings and neglect much of a ground army. So the Vikings aren't good against High Templars unless you drop them down on the ground, and even then they're not the best. So he does finally decide to get his expansion over here. A little late, but like I say, he did actually do pretty good in terms of tricking me into thinking he was going to build up something else in particular. Does drop down immediately a Hydralisk den. So Hydras, if you don't know, are very good against gateway units. They some casters, some people call Hydras the machine gunners, I should say, of the Zerg army, just because they shoot so fast, and You know, they can't take a beating, but they can dish a beating out, that's for sure. So, yeah, against what I have at the moment, if he gets enough Hydras up, definitely I'd be in a bad situation. Now, I really like this. He's trying to spread his creep, doing a great job of it, but he's not able to do it just yet. So instead, he brings this Overlord over, poops the creep down right here, and puts the Spine Crawler on his ramp right here. I really like this play. The creep spread, it wouldn't be out there. It would only be out to be right about here so far. But he's allowing it a little further because, you know, the Overlord up here. And of course, he's able to poke down a little bit of my units here. Hydralisks are getting a little bit of non-action, getting a couple pop shots in. Haven't lost any units, but you know, he has poked away a little bit. And then I did see, of course, that his units are all cut up here. So as you've seen in the past, you know, if you have energy on your sentries, definitely use them. So I'm trying to maximize my exposure to, or my usage with these sentries and their force fields. Just because that army that he has would decimate my little bit of army here. But in delaying his ability to come down here and attack me, I was able to destroy his second base. And in the same token, I was confident enough to actually get one of mine up and going. Harvester count, I'm a little bit ahead, 25-22. That's partially because, again, he's stuck on one base again. And this is all he's got. Now, his army size and composition would probably just, like I say, destroy what I have. And I'm kind of anticipating some type of counterattack. So instead of leaving any of my units out here in the front, I definitely pulled them all back to my base, somewhere I can resupply easy and start to protect it if I need to. As you can see, I am transferring some drones over, some probes even. I keep doing that over and over. And I transfer over just enough to make it so that there's roughly a little less than 2 on each mineral patch there, and I'm going to try and fully saturate this one up. Now, of course, having 2 bases, it won't be too long before I'm able to fully saturate this expansion. And we'll see what happens because of that. But it does appear that he is scouting with one little Zergling. Again, good job to keep on scouting, keep moving forward. I had this watchtower, but unfortunately, as you can see, these Zerglings come in and completely destroy my little zealot there. But it gave me vision enough to see that he possibly might be moving out. He's got a lot of Zerglings, and he's got a lot of Hydras. So because of that unit composition I saw, I decided to switch over to Colossus. Now, typically, I get the Thermal Lance first, get that starting before I build a Colossus. If you do it that way and Chrono Boost them both out, you can get 2 Colossus about the exact same time that this Thermal Lance finishes off. The reason why I didn't do it that time, and the reason why, as you can see, I was Chrono Boosting out that Colossus, is I was anticipating, again, some type of counterattack. So even if I didn't have Thermal Lance, I wanted that Colossus out to take out these Zerglings and these Hydras, because Colossus counter Hydras. So I definitely was trying to get that out as quickly as possible in case he decided to move out and attack me. Production tab shows, of course, that he's building 3 more Hydras. I'm building a Colossus and working on my Thermal Lance now. I will have actually 2 Colossus by the time, possibly even 3 by that time. He's just droning up, trying to get more of an economy going down. He's definitely hurting because, again, this expansion for so long hasn't been up and going. Now, again, instead of sitting back and doing absolutely nothing with my units, I'm going to go ahead and start clearing the rocks over here, so when I feel confident enough to grab this high yield expansion, I will do so, instead of just sitting back and doing absolutely nothing and let my units sit and, you know, just chill out and have fun. Got to put them to work. You build an army, got to put them to work, you know. I should eventually just destroy this. I don't think the game goes long enough to actually do that, but destroying that would also easily secure an expansion over here and make it so that I can push out because of that. Now, it looks like he is actually opting to go straight into Hive Tech off of 2 base. It's a unique play, I suppose. I don't think I've ever gone up against a Zerg player that would get Hive Tech this quickly. It's only 13 minutes into the match. He's still only on 2 bases. Hasn't expanded anywhere else, as you can see. And unfortunately, he's stuck with just the Hydralisks and a couple Zerglings, it appears. So I am going to start to move out, trying to check for expansions. He does actually spawn a couple Changelings in here. Does a great job with scouting with the Changelings. I unfortunately did not catch a glimpse of these yet, and I don't think I ever really do until later on in the game when I actually do destroy a couple of them. He is working on a Zerg Missiles level 1 as well as I am working on Charge. Again, Charge is very, very, very good. And I'm also dropping down my double forges as you guys have seen. You know, some people don't do it. Some people don't do the double forge. They just get a forge out earlier. I like to time it so that I'm doing it all at the same time, so it just makes it a little bit easier for me. Now, as you can see, I was not paying attention to these two little zealots running around. They're actually changelings in disguise. So he's getting a great scout on my base, seeing every single tech structure I have seen. I have the double forges. Seeing that thermal lance has been completed because it's no longer being upgraded, and that I'm building yet another Colossus. He's opting to go for an Ultralisk Cavern. Ultralisks are very good against Protoss players because, you know, for the most part, these sentries do nothing against an Ultralisk army. Ultralisks are classified as massive, just like Thors are, just like Colossus are, and massive units just walk over top of the force fields and just destroy them. So, for the most part, these sentries are useless aside from a little bit of Guardian Shield action. So, we'll see what happens right here. It does appear that he is, or like I say, working on the attack level 1 for his missile units, but he is building 2 Ultralisks coming out soon. That sound right there you heard is 2 changelings that finally got destroyed. Of course, do have the Zealot charge. I'm trying to bait him away from his spine crawlers to try to force field him around there, but I see that I'm definitely going to have to engage. He's got a lot of units there. I do great force fields, blocking half of his Hydralisk army off there. And now they're all falling down through the bottom here, so I get a good concave on whatever's left. And as you can see, these Hydralisks are completely stuck as well. Hydralisks are destroying my sentries, but at this point, unfortunately, the sentries aren't that good. It does appear that there's one Ultralisk that did spawn down. He's coming down here trying to take out my sentries. He's doing that splash damage to all my units, but I have enough army right here to actually destroy that one Ultralisk.